Hey, what's up? Steven here from the School Observatory in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. In this video, I'm doing a tutorial on the basic steps that I take for bringing out detail on my solar H-alpha images. Uh, to begin with, I'd like to give credit to Houston Haynes. This is actually where I've gotten most of my information on how I go about processing my solar H-alpha images. There are a couple other websites that I've found too. I'll include all links in the description. But yeah, Houston Haynes, this is most of this is his workflow. So check out his YouTube channel. He's got some really great information on there. Great tutorials too. So to begin with, if you're using a one-shot color camera, this is what your images are going to be looking like. And okay, maybe not like that. Okay, this is what your images are going to be looking like. And what it is we're doing narrowband imaging when you're using an H-alpha telescope. So only the red pixels on your camera, the red detectors, are the only ones that are collecting detail. And you can actually see that here in the channels tab. I'm trying to shrink this down a bit. Over here in the channels tab, we got a green channel. There's nothing there. Blue channel, there is some detail there. You can kind of see it, but it's not really doing any good to the picture. Try to stretch it. See? So, cancel that. But if you look in the red channel, this is where all the light has been collected, all the data has been collected. So before you go stacking your images in Registacks or AutoStacker, I highly recommend you get rid of that useless data, the green and the blue channels, and just separate the red out of it and then stack a video of only the red channel. There's this freeware that you can get for Windows. It's called PIP, P-I-P-P. It does a great job at even converting a bunch of photos into a video in order for you to stack them. Plus, it can also split your video channels as well. Some cameras, they are a little bit more sensitive in the green, and you will get some detail as well. So you can split out your blue channel and only keep the red and green and combine those in Registacks or AutoStacker. But for the most part, using one-shot color camera, there is going to be one channel that's going to be just turning your images to mud and washing out this detail. So if you were to stick this into Registacks or AutoStacker, it's got nothing here to follow off of, and you won't get the greatest images. So split your channels, get the detail, and then stack it in your stacking software. If you do want to get some really nice H-alpha images like mine that I've been getting, I highly recommend getting a monochromatic camera. When I started, it was with an SLR, and I was getting some good results, but I was never satisfied with it. So I took the dive and picked up a planetary camera that was monochromatic. Most people, they buy the ASI, the 120mm. That camera is prone to Newton rings when you use it on a solar scope. So just be forewarned, if you are buying that camera for this, buy a tilt adjuster too, because that's the only way you'll be able to get the Newton rings out of the image. This here is data I collected on the 31st of March, and I used my DMK 41. This is actually an amazing little camera. I recommend the DMK for solar imaging myself, but there's so many other cameras out there. You can take your pick. As you can see in this image, there's this darkening down here, and that's caused from the etalon inside the solar scope. It's a tilted etalon on the second stack. And so when I do mosaics, I will try to collect a lit up data of the entire sun and then use only that lit up area and photo merge them together. But I'm not going to go over photo merge in this tutorial. This is just how to bring out the detail in your data. So to begin with, put this back down here. We're going to need to sharpen this image. And people are probably already asking, why aren't you using wavelets in Registacks? Well, I disown wavelets. I don't like Registacks. That is the most unstable program I've worked with, and I've just put my laptop through the wall due to that. Wavelets, I don't have the patience for them, I guess. I've never had good results. I find I get better results using Photoshop here in this sort of technique. So we go filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. Actually, I'm going to cancel that. Duplicate my layer and now do filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. When I normally do my processing, I just keep it as one flat image. It's not a recommended, it's a very destructive way of processing, but for this tutorial's sake, I'm going to try to keep the layers separate just so we can look back at the steps. So when you use unsharp mask, dial the amount all the way to 500 and bring your radius and threshold to 0. And then you slowly bring in your radius, and I'll just use the up button on my keyboard. And you just slowly bring it up till you start to see your detail pop out. And you can get very aggressive with unsharp mask. And see, if you do that though, the next 3 steps that we're going to take for sharpening, it's not going to help us at all. It's just going to get worse and worse. So anytime it comes to doing an adjustment with astrophotography, you want to be very subtle with it, because we use more than one technique to bring out detail and to smooth out images. So you just multiple subtle adjustments is all you want to do, and you'll find you get a much more realistic looking picture. So I'm going to go with that. It's not much. So that's with the unsharp mask. That's without. Go full view. So without, with. A little subtle, right? Now just kind of be patient with me here. Photoshop is kind of glitchy right now because I'm running a screen capture program and my computer just does not like handling this. So we'll name this layer. Another thing that I don't normally do. And sharp mask. Alright. Create a new layer. We're going to call this one Smart Sharpen because, well, that's all we're going to do to this image. Filter, sharpen, Smart Sharpen. And then again, dial your mount rate up, your radius down to nothing. Remove Gaussian blurred, check the more accurate, and again, just use your keyboard and sharpen your image slowly. Alright, now that you can see this noise overtaking our image, it's usually a good sign you want to stop right there. I'm going to tone it back by 1. And then I'm going to bring the amount down until that noise starts to get out of the image. And there you go. Okay, our next step here is going to be a high pass sharpening technique. So with the high pass, you need 2 of the image. Turn your top image to soft light. Zoom all the way out, because this is more of a global sharpening technique. Then you go filter, other, high pass. And I'm just going to turn it right down as if we don't see anything here. So this is our original image, And with H-alpha images, you get this darkening along the edge of the rim here. And high pass filter does a very good job at evening this all out and bringing in this detail as well as sharpening. And so all we do is dial it up. You can be very aggressive with a high pass filter. It is going to add noise to your image no matter where you're setting it, but it's not really much. You can see in my high pass image here how this is lighter right here, so it's counteracting that darkening and evening it back out. I'll just go with that. Oh. Like I said, Photoshop's being very glitchy, unstable. Alright, there we go. And then just merge your soft light layer down. And there you have it. With high pass, without high pass. Alright, the next step is called noise median. This is actually one of the steps that I picked up off of Houston Haynes. So you want to create 2 layers again. We'll name our noise median layer here. And then the layer above, you want to change it to difference blending mode. And then we're going to go filter, noise, median. When you run your noise median filter, you want to adjust it just to the point where you're just starting to see the outer line of the disc. If you make this a nice thick white line by dialing it right up, you're just going to have this big ugly white line in your image that you're never going to be able to get rid of. So you just, again, you got to be subtle with it. It usually ranges between 45 to 75. I'm just going to go with 52 here for time's sake as well. I've done this tutorial multiple times and it's just too long every time, so we're trying to make it quick. So there we go, we got it darkened. And then now we just need to do 3 curve adjustments. So Command M to bring up your curves. And we're adjusting the difference layer with the noise median. And then all you do is you pick darker. It's a preset that's in Photoshop. So you just go in your presets and go darker. So there's 1, Command M, darker, 2, and then 1 more, Command M, darker, okay. And then merge down. And then Command L to bring up your levels. And then just bring your level white point back up to taste pretty much. And we'll go with that. So that's with the noise median. And that's without the noise median. Really makes it pop out of there. So that is our sharpening techniques. Unsharp mask, smart sharpen, high pass, noise median. Those 4 techniques will outdo Registax and its wavelets any day. So next, what I would like to do is corrections, I guess you could call it. So we'll make a new layer. We're going to call this one corrections. First correction I want to do is let's get rid of the noise out of this image that all of our sharpening has done. So filter, noise, reduce noise. I do have another plugin that actually works a lot better for removing noise, but since I have it and most people usually don't, I'm just going to use Photoshop's reduce noise. It's still a very, very powerful tool. And so I'm just going to bring up the strength slowly using the keyboard. And it really don't take much. I'm already liking that at 2. And then we can slowly bring in some detail. You want to just bring in that detail until you start seeing the noise come back in your image. And then just back it off. So we'll go with a little something like that. Very subtle. And then the whole remove JPEG artifact. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. It's not really a JPEG we're working with, it's a TIFF, so it's not going to help us at all. So I'm not going to use it. Alright. And now we need to deal with this darkening caused by the tilted etalon in there. So we'll duplicate our layer, and then we can go image adjustments. We'll use shadow and highlights. I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. I'm going to brighten up this area, plus I'm going to bring in these proms as well. Shadow and highlights, it's a very good tool for bringing out faint detail in astrophotos. Photoshop is really starting to tick me off. Ah! It's not really Photoshop though, it's just my computer. It doesn't have the RAM to run this all. And then the highlights, when you move it up, you're actually toning them back down. As you can see here. And we'll go with that. Then you want to create a mask, a conceal all mask. So hold the option key and then hit your mask button. And then you just go to your paintbrush. And when I'm creating masks or painting in masks, a good rule of thumb I've found is your opacity is around the 30ish mark, your flow is a 30ish mark, and even your hardness of your brush, put it around 30. It's a good place to start. And then now all we got to do is paint in these darker areas to light them up, preferably with the right color. There we go. Don't really want to spend too much time on this. I'm trying to keep this tutorial short. So there, you can see how you just using a layer mask and brightening up the area and then painting in that dark spot, you've brought it back in. So that's without it, it's with it. And we can also use this to bring back our prominence. Too much. There we go. Now, if you look at our prom data, it's overexposed as well. Sometimes this will get overexposed, like the prominence itself, so that's where you'd want to blend in your shadow and highlights of your detail, and then you can blend that in with it as well. So I'm gonna go with that for my corrections, and you can even use it to lighten up your active regions to make it look like they're, well, active. And then if you really wanted, I'm gonna dial up my brush here. Not that much. And I'm just going to bring in overall the adjustment. So just a very subtle brightening of the overall image. There you go. So that is our detail. Now we need to blend this detail in with our prominence. So I'm just going to merge this down. But before we start to blend this into our prominence, let's process our prominence. So hold Option, double click the layer, it unlocks the layer right there. And we want to go start a new layer. We'll call this brightening. And you can do a curves adjustment. There's multiple ways of brightening up the image. You can do levels, curves, shadows and highlights. Like I said, just multiple subtle adjustments. So there's a curves adjustment. And we'll do a shadows and highlights as well. Now, if you really want to make it look like the space around the sun is glowing, you're going to want to brighten this whole black area up. But you're looking at it and you're like, wow, it's all distorted. I can't use this. You can. And I'm going to show you right here. So there's our brightened image. We create a new layer. And let's get rid of all those zebra stripes, I guess they would be, and dust bunnies in there. And you're probably wondering why I never sharpen my proms. I don't usually sharpen them. Usually when I do, it creates too much noise, and they look more real when they are kind of a softer blend like this, a blur, I guess you would call it. So anyways, the smoothing layer now, you just want to go filter, noise, dust and scratches. And this should be the right setting because I've already done this image. There you go. So you just do dust and scratches and then threshold 0 and then bring your radius up until all the detriments are gone out of there that you don't want. And just go OK. And then again, we're going to use a layer mask. And now I can bring back my prominence. And all I'm going to do is mask out the edge of the sun here. Preferably with the right color again. There we go. I always do that. I'll be painting a mask and just get about 20 strokes into it before I realize I'm not doing any difference. I'm just trying to do this real quick here. We're already at a 25-minute video. And I know when I watch tutorials, the last thing I want to do is sit there for hours watching a guy paint out a mask. So this is just going to be quick and dirty. But yours, you can pause the video, take your time. A good picture will take a lot of time. And like even in your image, if you want to try sharpening the prominence, go ahead. But you'll see, you can probably already see it now, there's like a line in here. It's like a ring, and that is just going to pop out more the more you sharpen it. So, and I have sharpened my prominence with Registax wavelets before too, and you get the same effect. It's actually the only time I use Registax is to stack my prominence data. AutoStacker doesn't do the greatest job at it, so it's Registax for this, just for creating my final stacked image. So there we go, we got a prominence, we got a nice smooth sky background. Good deal. I'm going to show you another cool shortcut that I picked up off of one of Blue Lightning's tutorials. Let's say I want an image that shows my prominence. It shows, basically I want another layer that shows everything that I have on here. Command or Control, Option or Alt, Shift, E. And what that does is it creates a snapshot of the overall image of what you see. Very handy shortcut. I use it all the time for my astrophotos. So on a Mac it's Command Option Shift E. On a PC it's Control Alt Shift E. And yeah, I'm sure you guys will like that shortcut. I know I did. So there we go. Got our prominence. Let's bring in this detail. So we can just drag it in if you want, or you can just do the whole Command A, Command C, and then Command V and paste it in. Change your layer to difference. And there you go. It's blended in. It's inverted. You got a really cool picture. That's really not all there is to it though. If you do want an inverted look, this is how you do it, and you can color it that way, but I just go to difference just so I can try to align my detail with my prominence. And you're going to find that the size of your detail is always smaller than the size of your prominence, and that's just due to the fact that we're overexposing the image, so this size of the disk itself is actually getting larger. And if anything, this looks like it's a little bit skewed, so I'm going to just bring down the top a bit. Move it up. Yeah, you could spend hours here trying to align this, but I think I'm just going to go with this. Yeah, we'll just go with that. And then bring it back to normal. So that is one way of blending it, is by going invert, but let's say you don't want the inverted sun look. So what we're going to do is called a object mask. So we'll create a mask for this layer. Close the layer. Well, turn off the visibility. We want to select our details, so Command A, Command C. And then what we're going to do is, if you hold Option and then click your layer mask, it brings you actually into your layer mask. Here you can go Command V, and there you go. You have a very detailed layer mask that you can use for blending your detail into your prominence. And then you see how it's all dark and not really aligned. Just uncheck your the link here. Command D to stop the selection, and then again you can slowly. See, it's a pretty good layer mask, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get this the greatest, just due to the fact that I'm trying to rush it along. Yeah, I'll just stretch that back in there. And then you can further adjust your layer mask, your object layer mask. Let's put that link back in. Damn you. Jesus. So if you wanted to further adjust your layer masks, you can use levels, you can use curves, and then you can adjust your outputs here. And then see how it's lightening this darker area, which means it's going to start to reveal the underlying layer. Go ahead and play with it. I'm not, just because this is a tutorial and my computer is being very glitchy. And then again, it actually works better with levels. See, so bringing down your white output levels is allowing the underlying white to come through my top layer with the detail, and you can do the opposite as well. And really darken that background just by revealing the underlaying detail layer. And actually, that doesn't look too bad. But yeah. So the next, what we got to do is color our image. I have a action that I've put together for creating a color balance adjustment layer. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it. And this way, the whole reason I do an action is this way I get a consistent color across all my solar images. I will put in the description the color balance I have for this, like the shadows. You got your 3 settings, your midtones, and then your highlights. So I will put that in so you guys can make your own color balance. I'd recommend you make this and then just tweak it from here. But let's say you didn't want the background to be this red, but you like your detail. So what you do is you create another adjustment layer. And we'll put this one over our background. And then if you hit Option and just click the line between the color balance and the layer below it, you actually saying this color is going to only affect this image. And then the same down here. Option. There. Now this color is only going to affect my background, and this color is only going to affect my detail. So now I can adjust my background separately. There is another technique that I do use for coloring the detail, and it actually requires you to apply your color in your detail first. So I would go in here, adjust solar color balance, and then what you do is you just flatten this image, and then you go image, adjustments, HDR toning. Can't believe I'm telling you guys this little trick. And this HDR toning, it can actually make your solar images really kind of pop out of the image. It takes a little while of playing with the radius, the strength, your exposure. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it with the way my computer's running right now though. But you guys go ahead and experiment with it. I'll just cancel out of that. But you do your HDR toning, and then you would take that HDR image, the HDR toned image, bring it into here, and then just blend it in with your prominence and color your prominence separate. So up here would already be an HDR colored image. I'd really like to show you guys how to play with it, but like I said, my computer's running like crap right now, so I'm going to give you the data. Feel free to try it. So again, that's color balance. Apply it to your detail layer, image, image adjustments and HDR toning. And then once you have that all colored and popping out looking kind of deal, then you can blend it in with your proms as well. So it does not look the greatest. I would be spending a lot more time trying to blend this in here, adjusting my masks, even painting in different parts of the mask. But we are at 36 minutes right now. So there it is. That's how it's done. I wish I could go over a lot more, but like I said, we were cutting it close for time. So thank you for watching, and I will be putting out other videos. Another one that's going to be coming out right away is how I go about processing the moon and getting that full dynamic range. So thanks for watching.